Hey guys, what's up? It's Daniel, and today I'm going to be showing you how to do Project 3 and the SAM 2010 course online. So this project takes place in Microsoft Word, and the first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go to your SAM course, and you're going to go to your assignments and click on number 3, which is the one we're going to be working on. I've already opened and submitted this assignment, so I don't have this exact same assignment, but the steps are identical. So what you're going to do is you're going to click on the assignment. This page is going to pop up. You're going to hit OK after you read, that stuff if you want. And then it's going to take you to another page. You're going to have your instructions, and you're going to have your work files. And after you've downloaded all of them into a folder, you're going to click the one with your name on it, and you're going to open it. And this is PowerPoint, but you're going to see Word here, but this step is the same for all Microsoft programs. So on the top left, you're going to go to File, and then you're going to go to Save As, and a window is going to pop up, and here you can select where you want to save your files to. If you want to save it to your desktop or to a specific drive, that's fine. But what Sam wants you to do at this point is change the title of the file to something different. So you see these numbers after your name and the underscore. You're going to delete the numbers, and you're just going to have your name and the underscore, and then you're going to put 2. And once you've done that, you can submit the file to Sam, and Sam looks for that number, and it will accept it. If you don't do that, Sam won't accept the file, and you'll get an error message, and that's no fun. So just make sure you rename it, and then you press save. So I'm just going to cancel out of this because I don't want to save that. But once you've saved that, you can open it, and you're going to come to this page. The next thing you're going to do is verify that your name appears at the bottom of the document, which is going to be right here. It's going to say your name, and then it's going to have these digits. Don't touch either of those. If you do, the file will get all wonky, and Sam won't be able to recognize it. So just leave those alone and work in the blank. This is what we're going to be making today. This is some type of business letter from this data lock storage. A couple little nitpicky little borders and some interesting spacing, and these little bullet signs and a cloud shape. So I'll let you guys see my score, 100 out of 100. Hopefully that's what you get if you do everything I do. So after you've saved the file and make sure your name was on it, we can get started. The first thing we're going to do is change the theme color to Technic, and it says note the theme font and theme effect should remain Office. So on the page layout menu up here on the top left, I'm going to go to colors, and there's a little arrow. I'm going to click it. It's going to drop down into a menu, and I'm going to find Technic, and it's in alphabetical order, so I know that's towards the end. There it is. When it says the theme should remain Office, that's this one. If I don't select it, but leave your mouse hovering over the themes button, and you can see when it pops up, it says the current office, or the current theme is Office. So make sure that that is set like that after you select your colors. If it's not, you can select the Office and theme, but your colors will change to Office, so you need to make sure that you set them back to Technic. Alright, so once we've done that, it says figure 1 shows the letterhead that you will be creating. Begin by inserting a cloud shape. So we're going to go up here on the top left to the Insert tab, and under that we're going to find the button up here that says Shapes, and when you click the arrow beneath it, it comes to a drop-down menu, and underneath Basic Shapes there is the cloud shape. And so I'm going to click that, and when I do that, my mouse is going to turn to this X, and that basically tells me wherever I click on this document, a little cloud's going to appear. So I want it at the very beginning of my document, so I'm going to click right where my cursor is, and there's the cloud. And it takes me to its formatting options up here on the top, which is just fine because that's where we're going to be working in next. and it says shape the or resize the shape to an approximate height of 0.95 and a width of 5.85. So under this formatting tab, in the very top right, there is the height and the shape measure, or the height and the width measurements, and you can use these arrows to either shape it to the where it asks you to shape, or you can just type it in, which is what I do because it's faster. So I'm just going to click in that and backspace so all that gets erased, and then I'm just going to type for the height 0.95, and I'm going to hit enter, and the shape's going to adjust accordingly, and I'm going to do the same thing for the width, which is 5.85, and enter, and now it's this stretched out looking cloud shape. So the next thing it asks us to do is change the text wrapping from the shape to top and bottom. So text wrapping is how your text fits in the shape and what part shows. So up here, still on the same tab, we're going to go to wrap text and click the little arrow beneath it, and then underneath that they have all these little different settings you can put it on. We want top and bottom, so I'm going to click that one, and now the text wrap has been changed to top and bottom. It also says change the shape outline color to aqua accent 1 lighter 60%. So still on this tab, we're going to go up here on the left where it says shape outline. You can click the little arrow next to it, and it's going to drop down in a menu, and you're going to select aqua accent 1 lighter 60%. So under here, this is aqua. If you leave your mouse hovering over the color, it tells you what color it is. I want lighter 60%, which I think is this one. Yep, so I'm going to click that, and that changes how my border looks. It's a little lighter than it was before. Next step says add the text data lock storage to the shape. Okay, to do this, you can't just click in the shape. If you do that, it's not going to do anything. So what you got to do is you got to right click on the shape, and under the menu that comes up, you're going to click add text, and once you do that, you can type in your data lock storage. Make sure you use the right capitals, and it's going to come up as incorrectly spelled, but that's what my example says, so I'm just going to go with it and not what Microsoft Office wants. And then it says to format the text in bold 28 point Rockwell. So I'm going to highlight what I just typed, and now I'm going to go to the Home tab, and up in my font settings I'm going to switch it to bold, which is the little B in the left corner, and when I click that, it's going to make the text bolder, a little bit thicker, and then it wants my font size to be 28. So next to the 11 there's an arrow. I'm going to click that, it's going to drop down, and I'm going to select 28, and then it wants it in Rockwell font. So it also says if your computer does not have Rockwell font installed, then use Tahoma or Tahoma. So if you don't have Rockwell, you can use that one. So once I click the arrow next to where it said Calibria, you can use the scroll down menu to find Rockwell or Tahoma, and mine's already at the top because I used it earlier, so I'm just going to click that. And then it also says once you do that, right align the text within the shape. So still having my text highlighted, I'm going to come up here to my paragraph settings, and it's on centered currently, so I'm going to want to right align it. So that's the one just to the right of the centered button for me, and once you leave your mouse over it says align text right. That's the one you want, so click it. It's going to move the text to the right a little bit, which is exactly what we wanted. And then it says in the first blank line below the shape, enter the contact information line shown in figure 1 beginning with 188 Tibbs Parkway, Redview, blah 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 blah. So we're going to type that now, and to get to the very first line underneath the shape, you're just going to click right underneath it, and it's going to take you to that first line. So type in what the address is and the number and everything, and you want to make sure you type it exactly as the example said to. You cannot copy and paste because Sam has found a way to nail you when you do that, so you do have to type it in. Make sure you put your capitals and your commas and everything in the right spot. and you can look at your example and see that your lines in with the same words and at the same time and everything. So make sure you do that. It says insert a bullet symbol as shown between the contact information line. Hint, in the symbol dialog box, choose normal text font, and the bullet will be the number 2022 in the Unicode hex. Okay, so to do this, I'm going to go to where I want my bullet inserted, which is going to be in between the phone number and web. So I'm going to go to the Insert tab on the top, and to the right I'm going to go to the symbols. And when I click the drop down arrow, it's going to take me to all these little tiny symbols. Do not just click the bullet. That can be wrong if you haven't done this before. So what it wants specifically is the bullet listed 2022. So when I click this drop down arrow, it's going to take me to this menu, and underneath the menu it says more symbols. When I click that, it's going to open up this page, and I've already had it set on 2022, but yours won't be set to that most likely. So in this character code, you're going to type in 2022, and it takes you automatically to that character, which is the one we want, which is this little bullet symbol. So at this point, I don't have to double click on it or anything. I'm just going to click insert, and it inserts it, and I'm going to close it real quick so you can see that it is inserted right where I wanted it. It also wants a space in between both of them like that, and then I want to do the same thing in between the zip code and the phone number. So a little automatic quick thing that Office does for you is that the symbol that you just used comes on the top left hand corner of this one now. So all I have to do is click that one, but if you're more comfortable with doing it the same way we just did, then by all means go ahead and do it. But I'm just going to click this one, and it's going to put the bullets right in the middle where I wanted it. And I'm going to just look at my example and double check that I put them in the right spot, and it looks like I did. So once we've done that, it asks you to, it says add a new blank line after the contact information line, and then remove the hyperlink format from the web address in the contact information line. So to add a new line, I just want to drag this up and center it because I feel like it's not exactly in the center, so it doesn't really matter. Sam's won't mark you off wrong as that, but as long as it's in this top half, they will count it as right. But I just am picky, so I'm going to do that. So the next thing I'm going to do is add a new line once I've moved that to the top center. Sometimes if you don't move it to the center, it will flip the cloud underneath this, and it'll be all backwards and stuff. So if that happens, press Control Z. That undoes what you just tried to do and flips it back over, and then move your image around to where you want it. And just, I don't know why it does that, but it does. So once you've done that, go to the end of your address bar and hit enter, and that's going to give you a new line. And right now I just want to show you this cool little trick that I haven't talked about yet, but it's these paragraph marks. And what these do is they show you where your spacing is and where your blank lines are, which is pretty useful in this assignment because there's some different blank lines and stuff. So when I go up to the center button up in the home menu, it kind of looks like a little music symbol, and I click it, it's going to show me these symbols. And if I zoom in for you, you can see that these little dots appear, and the little dots represent where I've put a space. So it's useful in that if I see two dots like so, that means that, oh, I put too many spaces in. So when I see two dots, I can just press backspace and get rid of that second space I don't need. And also, like over here, for some reason I have these extra spaces, so I don't really need that. And these little music symbols represent when I have hit enter and inserted a new line. So when I do that and I press enter, it gives me this little music symbol, and that means that I just put a new line. There's one right there, and there's one right there. But keep in mind that these symbols don't really exist, so they don't take up they don't take up space in your actual document. They're just to show you for review purposes really where your spacing is and your line, your blank lines and so on are inserted. So it is useful when you use it like that. So after I've inserted a new line, I'm going to remove the hyperlink format from the web address. So that's this thing up top here, and you'll notice when I pressed enter that the website turned blue and underlined itself. That's what's called a hyperlink, and if I was to click on that, I would get a little window that pops up and says, do you want to go to this website? And it is handy when you're actually using Word, because then you can just automatically go to places that are in your document. But for some reason this assignment doesn't want you to do that, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click on it, and underneath my options I'm going to have one that says remove hyperlink. So when I click that, it's going to go back to black and not underlined, and it's just going to be like words. Alright, so once I've done that, format the contact information line using the aqua accent darker 50% color. So I'm gonna highlight this, and I don't know, for some reason it likes to do that too. When I go all the way to the end, it highlights the cloud also. So what I do is I just go right to the 8, and it wants me to change my color, my font color, to aqua accent 1 darker 50%. So up here I'm going to go to the A with the little red line under it, click the arrow, and in this color I'm going to find aqua accent 1 50% darker, which is that one. And then I'm going to highlight this one and do the same thing, because for some reason the formatting of this assignment makes it so when you highlight this whole line, it highlights the image too. And if you click this with the image highlighted, it will change the color of the picture and the cloud and everything. So don't do that. If it does that, then just do my little trick and just go to the 8 and then do the 1 separately. Apply a bottom border to the contact information line and then center the line. The letterhead should look like figure 1. Alright, so I don't have figure 1 because I've already done this assignment. But again, highlight the whole line this time, because the bottom border doesn't matter. And do not underline it. I'm sure some of you tried to do that, but that is not the same as a bottom border. Bottom borders are actually under the paragraph menu, and it's this little sign up here, and you'll notice that it already says bottom border, but if it doesn't, you can click the arrow and find the bottom border that you want and select it, and it will create a bottom border underneath the line that you have currently selected. So it also wants us to center that, so on the paragraph section, so I'm going to click the center button up here to center the line also, and when I do that, it's going to make it so I have these little ends that fall off, which is good because that's what I wanted. And as of right now, I'm going to go back and look at my example to see that it looks similar to what I have, and the ends are falling off just like so. Don't fret if the ends don't look exactly the same. It's because this sign is here, but like I said, if you have that sign on it, it's really like it's not there. So if I was to click that, it would disappear, and now the ending lines would look the exact same as if I didn't have those signs on. So now that we've added the bottom border and centered it, on the blank line or lines below the letterhead, apply the no spacing style and set the font color to automatic. Okay, so something that might get you guys with this is after you've put their bottom border on underneath this, and you go to the end of the line and you press enter to go to a new line, the bottom border will actually move with it, which is not what you want. So if this happens to you, it's pretty simple fix. It's just that Office has automated this and formatted it so it automatically does that. It's easy to get rid of. Up top here under the home menu, there is a little button next to all the A's that says clear formatting, and when I do that, I'm just
gonna click it, and it's gonna move that line back up and give me a new line underneath my underneath the border, and that border is no longer gonna move because I've cleared the office format off of it, so it's just gonna stay there. But be careful when you do that you go back and remove this hyperlink again, because it's gonna pop back up possibly. So now I'm just gonna click down to this new line that I made, and it says apply the no spacing style and set the font color to automatic. So up under this styles menu, there's the no spacing style, which is right there. If you don't see it right up here, you can click this little arrow in the bottom right corner, and then it should be under here somewhere. I'm just going to hit that, and that's going to give my whole paper the no spacing style. It also asks me to change my color back to automatic. So when I change these colors to the blue color, I switched it. So now it wants it back to automatic. So I'm going to come up here to the colors. I'm going to hit automatic, and that's going to make my letters black again. When your letter is complete, the entire letter below the letterhead should have no spacing style and automatic font color. So now that we've switched that over, we know that that is going to be like that. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put these paragraph signs back on, because my example has some tricky little spacings. So when I did that, again, the little music symbol thing is going to pop up, and these dots are going to appear in between each word, which show me my spaces. And when I look at my example and I press the paragraph marks, also it's going to show me all the marks of the correct way to do it. So right here I can see that there's a blank line, so I'm going to click enter again on my actual one, like so. And now I've inserted that blank line up there. Alright, the next thing we're going to do is insert the date, but to do it the correct way, it asks to set the left tab stop to 3.5 on the mark, or 3.5 mark on the ruler. Okay, and Microsoft Word is built in with a ruler that can show you your dimensions. Sometimes it's not displayed automatically, so you have to turn it on. To do that, you can come up here to this button in the right corner that says View Ruler, and if you click that, these rulers pop up. If you don't see that button, you can go to the View menu, and over here there's a little checkbox that has ruler next to it. You just want to check that, and the rulers will also pop up. Now what it's asking me to do is set a left stop for my paragraph mark. So over here in this left corner, I can see by leaving my mouse over it that it says left tab, so that's good. That's what I want it to be set as. If yours doesn't say that, click it until it does. See, because there's different ones. There's centered, and then there's right, and so until you find left, which is the one that looks like an L, that's the right one you want, which says left tab. Now most of you guys are probably going to want to touch these little dials over here and try to make a stop like that. That's wrong. Don't do that. Just leave those alone. To make a stop, we want to go to the 3.5 point marker, which is what it asks for. So looking up on the ruler, I can see that here's a 3, here's a 3.5, and I'm just going to click on the dash that marks the halfway point, and it's going to come up with this little L-like figure right there, as you can see. So when I do that, it's going to make my indentation stop at 3.5 inches. So when I press the tab button on my keyboard on the left hand side, it's going to automatically go to that stop, which is what it wants. And after I've done that, it wants me to type in the date. So I've typed the date in, and I want to look at my example just to make sure I'm doing it the same way it has. And for right now, it looks right to me. It has an enter, and then it has a blank line, and then it has the name and so on. So I know that I need another blank line underneath this. So I'm going to press enter once, and then there's my blank line. I insert Mrs. Shannon Cates, and you guys should type it out just as your example. Say I can copy and paste because I'm not submitting this, but if you copy and paste, Sam will mark it as wrong. They have a system that just does that, so you have to type it out word for word. And it's also bad if you make a spelling mistake, because the whole like the one word out of the paragraph, if you get one word wrong, the whole question will be marked as wrong, and some questions are worth like 15 points. So hopefully you have a good teacher that can go in and say, oh well, I just see you made one spelling error, so I'll just mark off 1 point instead of the whole 15 points. So SAM is not foolproofed its grading system in that way, so you really need to make sure that you type it out word for word and use the right punctuation and capitalization. So I'm going to type the next few lines by pressing enter and putting the line right underneath it. So I got the rest of the address, and then there's a line and a blank line, and then there's Dear Miss Cates. Dear Miss Cates, colon. Make sure you put the colon in. I'm just copying and pasting to save time. Alright, so it says type the first paragraph of the letter shown in figure 2, which begins with thank you for your recent. So that's this part, and I'm going to copy and paste again. You guys type. And then once I've done that, it asks me to type the second paragraph of your letter shown in figure 2, which begins with please note that additional so-and-so. So I'm going to look at my format real quick. It has a blank line, and then it has the rest. So I'm going to hit a blank line, then I'm going to paste it. And again, these marks really aren't here. I'm just using them to measure where my blank lines are. And you can see it without them. You can see that, okay, there's a blank line there, so I'm going to just put one there. But just for extra accuracy, I just use that. So don't let them confuse you. They're not actually there. Alright, the next thing it wants me to do is make a bulleted list of 4 items beginning with robust encryption techniques. So there's no spacing underneath it, no blank line, so I'm just going to hit enter, and I'm going to type the robust encryption techniques first. So I've typed in my 4 lines that it asked me to do. You can just type the first one and type the second one and then hit enter, and then type the third one and hit enter, and so on and so forth. And then it asks me to bullet them. So not using the sign that we used before, this is actually a bulleted list. So in the paragraph settings, there's a button up here on the top that says bullets, and all I have to do is go to the beginning of the first one I want bulleted and click that button, and it automatically puts a bullet in there. And the same thing with the one underneath it, and the one underneath that, and the one underneath that. And once I've done that, I'm going to check to make sure I'm doing it right. Yes, I hit enter, and then for further details. So notice when I hit enter again after this remote access, it's going to do another bullet. That's just Office thinking that you're going to make the rest of the bulleted list, but to tell it that you're not and you're done with your list, you're going to go back up to that bullet button, and it's going to be highlighted in orange already. That means that it's currently selected. You're going to just click that button, and it's going to go back to the way it was before. So now I'm going to type the third paragraph of the letter shown in figure 2, which begins with for further details. So bam, look at how fast I am at typing. Yeah, I know, I'm good. For that, it says remove the hyperlink format from the email address in the paragraph, and since I pasted it in there, it's not going to look like that. But if I do that, there it is. So that's what yours looks like once you've typed it. So it wants me to remove my hyperlink from that. We did that up top earlier, so you know how to do it. You right click on it and click remove hyperlink. That turns it back to regular words, and then it says use the 3.5 stop when entering the complementary and close and both lines in the signature. Okay, so looking at my example again, I can see that there's a blank line and then there's sincerely comma. Alright, so I'm just going to go to the end of the third paragraph and click enter and insert a blank line. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit tab because this stop is still up here. It hasn't moved. It's going to put it right aligned with April, which is what I want. So when I do that, it moves to the beginning of 3.5, and I'm just going to type in sincerely comma. And now I want another blank line, I believe. 2 blank lines actually, and then I want to type in his name. So I'm going to go back here, and I already did 1, so I'm going to do 2, and then I hit enter again to type his name, and then I hit tab, and it brings me back to the 3.5 marker, and I put his name in, and then there's no blank line, and it's just tab over, and did it say accountant or attorney, or what did it say, consultant? Okay, so just going to do that, and then I put consultant, and now you should be done with your little letter here. And I'm just going to look over real quick, and yeah, it looks the same. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to review up top and check my spelling and grammar, and it's going to come up with some incorrect spellings, but I know they're correct, or they're correct in the example that I have. And so I'm going to click ignore all. Redview I know is right, Kate's I know is right, data lock I know is right, and once I do that, it's going to tell me my spelling was checked off. If you have any other just regular words incorrectly spelled, make sure you check them and make sure they're spelled correctly. So again, you can look at the example that you have, and you can see that your lines end with the same letters and begin with the same letters. You have your bulleted list, you have your bottom border, you have these little bullet symbols, and you have your cloud shape with the right dimensions and format. And that wraps it up. I hope you guys found this helpful. If you did, go ahead and like the video and subscribe to my channel. And also, if you have any other questions about different parts of Word or Microsoft Office programs, send me a message and I'll be happy to do tutorials on stuff to help you guys out. Alright, I will see you guys next time.